to be with Americans. And I would always say, well, many of us are married to Swedes or we work with Swedes, and you'll know a lot about the locals because we're with locals, and so you will find out about locals. Also, it's just like your own home city. Do you ever notice someone moves there and they eventually know more about the city than you do? So I think through our American Women's Clubs, we always have a lot of talks and walks and programs, and I think you learn a lot about, and so I always tell people that I guarantee to them they'll end up knowing more about Stockholm or wherever they're living than they would know if they just talked to their next door neighbor who is Swedish or wherever your clubs are. So I feel very strongly about that. But you have to find some benefits. I mean, think of clubs and membership. I mean, it is sales, and it is a product or a benefit that you're selling. It's a service or whatever you want to call it. You have to think of it that way. Also, people always bring up the issue of other interests. Well, I'm busy. I have kids at school. I don't have time for anything like a club. And I always tell them, we will help support the clubs. You know, I'm sure, and they're always, schools are always trying to raise money. The kids, so, you know, through the American Women's Club, I would publicize things if they had a candy drive, or I don't know, whatever you can think of. I was actually insane enough, I think it was towards the end of my 11 years in Sweden, in Stockholm, and I was quite well known in the community through the board because we'd also given money for them to maybe build a library or to add books. We made sure, though, they put a little sign there that said money donated by the AWC, so that people would know. Actually, that was, I had a great board. These gals always came up with ideas to give us credit when we did things like this. And towards the end, I think one of the last years I was in Stockholm, they actually asked me to be on the school board. That was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. My God, I'd never been on the school board before. And the main thing is because there were these opposing teams and huge fights, and it was really scary, though, because two of my top people on the board were on opposing teams. But anyway, I survived it, and actually it all worked out. I came up with a couple of solutions, so that was amazing. That's fine. So anyway, we worked on all of these ways. So this is us trying to build our image. So this is Charlotte and myself, and the lady in the middle is Monica Heimbold, who was our ambassador's wife. And this was right after 9/11, and about the time we joined FAWCO. And hang on, I just had to drink water. Yeah, I won't touch that thing. So we learned this from, I think, the club, the American Women's Club in Helsinki. And they said, well, our honorary president is the ambassador's wife or the ambassador herself if it's a woman. And, you know, well, we had a little stumbling block for it because in Stockholm, our honorary president was the king's sister. Well, nobody had seen the king's sister for at least 30 years. But she was in that directory saying, you know, so a few people knew, a lot of people had no idea who she even was. It didn't say king's sister, but the people, you know, so anyway, I don't know how Charlotte and I we deleted her from the database. I don't know. It was really quite frightening, but we did it. We deleted the king's sister. So anyway, my God. So we did the deletion, and then we had to get up the nerve to go ask Monica Heimbold, and she's the ambassador's wife, but she's also Swedish. She lived in America for about 30, 40 years, but she was still very Swedish. She wanted to be our honorary president. And so we go in and thinking this, we were a little nervous, but we sat down and said it to her, and she said, why? You know, and we look at each other, and I don't know, we said something, and she goes, well, what do you want me to do? And I'm not joking, that's exactly the way she said that. What do you want from me? Anyway, so anyway, you know, I usually keep talking. So that's my thing. I just start babbling on, and eventually I just wear people down. So
wait till you hear the rest of the story.
Yeah, I told her, I said, well, in ways we're like you and your husband. You know, he's the American, she's the Swede. We're the reverse of that. most of us are, you know, American women with Swedish men. So, you know, and she had thought it made sense. And also we did tell her we really want to build the image of the American Women's Club. And we're sure you want, as Americans, even though you're, you know, your husband is the American ambassador, so I'm sure you want us to help build the image of this club. And she said, so she agreed. So we were like, got rid of that one. And then Charlotte, again, this is the time we were doing the FAWCO conference. So Charlotte, the research queen here, was looking and she said, oh my God, the Heimbolds actually donated $1 million to the Queen's Foundation. So they were founding partners of the Queen's Foundation. So she said, if we can, with some of the money that we make at our FAWCO conference, if we can donate that to some of the Queen's Foundation, yeah, I'm trying to think what I'm talking about here, and she said, you know, we said, gee, that way we can really get her involved. So, of course, you know, you've got to go through, you know, jumping through hoops, and after, I don't know, it took you 6 months to do all that, we, you know, got it okayed, and so it was pretty exciting. So then Monica was on board, because we were going to do this and publicize the Queen's Foundation. And so, boy, it's great when a plan comes together. I tell you guys, it was like pulling teeth. And this picture, don't click it yet. This picture is actually something, I think Charlotte was doing a press release, and the title of it was, what was it, three American women working to be goodwill ambassadors and be the good face of America, or something like that. So we thought that was really great. And actually our hair didn't turn out too badly that day. We had to wait outside for an hour. You know, it was, and she had actually, we'd set up an appointment with her to get this picture, and we stood outside in the rain for an hour. So anyway, turn it. Okay, here's another little image building thing we did. We were doing a Halloween party. So the lady on the left is actually Pam Dahlgren. I don't think you see her? Yeah. She was the president at the time of FAWCO, right? And so she was in town to talk to us about the conference. And then Charlotte, and the lady in the middle was the previous, Kay Olson. She's from Texas. She was the previous ambassador's wife. And she was a great lady. We just didn't think while she was the ambassador's wife about deleting the King